find their own answers. Tableau. Answer questions at the speed of thought.
Wow. Howdy, SpongeBob. How do you like it? What is it?
Sandy's genome is essentially an air-filled underwater habitat that could support mammalian life. Look at this!
I'm ready for the longest, coldest winter ever.
Bring it on!
Spring? I'm going to the moon, SpongeBob.
It's a dome over the flat earth that separates the waters and forms the dome. And God said, let there be a firmament in the midst of the waters, and let it divide the waters from the waters.
This isn't for fun. See this? This is science.
So they always depicting space to you as being like underwater. That's because it is. The Mayims, right? The heavenly waters is kind of like a mirror.
Okay, gentlemen, we are the board of directors of Tree Dome Enterprises.
See, check out the predictive programming. It's funny because they got 3 monkey scientists who are paying Sandy Cheeks to leave under the sea, the underwater environment, right? To leave this area. Okay. And no nigga, I got an iPhone. One of you niggas got Androids. So anyway, we don't do Androids right here. But just look at the programming they putting you in. Darwinian evolutionists, guys who believe they came from monkeys, are going to pay Sandy Cheeks, right, to go to the moon, right, to verify that they come from monkeys. But listen.
Good day, gentlemen. We are the board of directors of Tree Dome Enterprises Limited. I'm going to offer you a 20-year contract with a substantial pay rise.
See, we're going to offer you not only longevity of a career, but we're going to financially compensate you if you keep these lies up, right? Keep going. So in that episode, they take the rocket ship and they leave from Sandy's dome, right? From just like we're inside the dome, and they go outside of the firmament and they get into outer space. But in the show, outer space is just, you'll see the 3-dimensional world for them. So you got to check out the symbolism. Remember, cartoons are 2-dimensional. Now, they went from being cartoons and they went into the next realm and they became 3-dimensional, right? So in the same sense, we are 3-dimensional beings with 5th-dimensional capabilities, right? Meaning we have a mind, we have a soul inside this physical realm. But once we leave this physical realm, then we regain the rest of the abilities that we had to lose when we came down here, when Adam and Eve fell. So I hope that makes sense. And the only reason why I got Apple is because Apple is I've always had Apple. Apple is like the basic fucking brand of smartphones. Like, there's other smartphones that do better shit, but I just have an iPhone because it's like, I've always had an iPhone. See, look. See, the loss of gravity, when you leave see, you got to understand something. The electromagnetic spectrum, right? Electromagnetic spectrum. All right, so the electromagnetic spectrum. Oh, where is it? No, that's not the one we want. Okay. All right, this is the visible light spectrum. You see how small of a sliver we experience and how much more reality there is to experience? You see animals, they see here. They see in between X-ray and infrared. Or excuse me, they see infrared and ultraviolet. I don't know if there's animals who see X-ray. Maybe there are, I don't know. But animals see just outside of this. We've been limited to this spectrum, right? So once this limitation is down to us being in this physical existence. But once you leave out of this realm of existence, like Enoch did, he had to be translated, right? He had to lose the physical body. He had to lose the electromagnetic limitation, right? So when they tell you gravity doesn't exist. There's only electromagnetism, and then there's either buoyancy, which has to do with water, or density, which has to do with air, right? You only have two mediums of existence within this realm. You're either in water or you're in air, okay? And both of those two things are affected by electromagnetism, right? The atmosphere. And they have two different effects given their two different realities, right? Air has a different reality. So you're talking about what am I talking about? Density, right? Which object will fall faster than another because it weighs more or has more mass. And then in terms of water, you're dealing with buoyancy. Same thing, just the opposite, right? Still has to do with mass. So check it out. When they left outside of the Earth atmosphere, they moved into out of the electromagnetic limitation, right? It's just crazy that they're teaching you through cartoons, right? Watch how he's a two-dimensional creature, and then he goes into our realm, right, and becomes 3D. Now imagine we're three-dimensional creatures because of this physical body. But remember, you're more than your body. You're your mind, right? Your mind is not physical. And within this third dimension, we have up to 5 degrees. Hence why you got 5 fingers, right? We can max out our potential in a physical body up to 5 dimensions, right? Okay, now watch this guy. When we leave this place, or when the electromagnetic barrier is removed, okay, then we'll have to advance into another reality. So this is a part of my understanding, or my theory, is that Enoch had to be translated. Elijah had to be translated. They had to lose the physical body in order for them to go on and explore the other heavens, explore the other realms. See? Now he's breaking into the third dimension. So imagine this from our perspective, because we're not 2D, we're 3D. So instead of 3D, we go into the 6th dimension and higher. Remember, the angels were made just a little bit above man. So if man has 5th dimensional capabilities, right, then the angels would start at the 6th dimension, would they not? Right? This has to do with the breakdown that I did about dimensions. So if you're not understanding why I specify man has 5th dimension, we're in between the 3rd and the 5th dimension. It just depends on what level of mental state you're at. So if you're strictly 3rd dimensional, that just means it's physical. This is 3D, right? But this doesn't have a mind. this is another 3D object, but it doesn't have a mind. It doesn't have a brain. It doesn't have a soul, a spirit. Anything physical like that. That's 3D. Okay? 4D is when you have a mind, like animals, for instance, have basic intelligence. They have DNA instruction. DNA instruction allows them to function so that they can eat, sleep, reproduce. Eat, sleep, and reproduce. The basic things you need for survival, right? Fourth dimension, that's fourth dimension. So fourth dimension is having animation, having motion. The fact that you can move from space to space or from one point to another gives you the opportunity to have memory. And without memory, you can't have the things that we have life, like the certain understandings that we have, right? So this is where many people are. They're fourth dimensional beings pursuing or heading towards either the fifth dimension, where they become more spiritual, or they're heading more towards the third dimension, where they become more carnal, right? They answer more to the flesh as opposed to answering to their mind and the temptations thereof. All right? Let's go. This is why when I link up with UB News, the first documentary I'm going to do with him is going to be based off of creation and the beginning chapters of Genesis, probably the first 3 chapters, right? But it's probably going to be like at least an hour long. We'll try and make it shorter and concise, but we'll see, right? Right. Fifth dimension is fourth dimension. Fifth dimension is mastery of free will. And fourth dimension is you understanding you have free will, and then it's the learning curve, right? Let's go. So you see how they went from 2-dimensional to 3-dimensional? See?
This isn't so bad.
That's the same thing that Enoch had to do when he was translated. So like I was saying, when I do the documentary with UB, eventually we're going to get to a point where this is some of the material we're going to explain. So don't be surprised if you see me use the SpongeBob analogy, because this shit is actually fucking crazy. Now I got to go back and watch some SpongeBob and see if there's any more stuff that I can pick to show you guys what I mean when I'm teaching half the stuff I'll be teaching.
Hey, this isn't so bad.
All right, you get it? Above the firmament, in between the firmaments. Okay? See, Homer Simpson went from a 2D world to the 3D world, right? Watch this. Watch him change. He was translated. Okay? You see how Enoch, it'll tell you in the book of Enoch that Enoch was translated? Right? He left the electromagnetic spectrum. He left this earth plane, right? Homer Simpson just left the earth plane and went into the higher dimensions, right? He went from being a 2-dimensional entity to realizing he has 3 dimensions to play with. Enoch translated. Okay, I hope that doesn't... Okay, so let me go to images first, just to show you some of the images they show. And I realize these are white man images, okay? It doesn't matter. It's just a concept that I'm trying to explain. Okay, you see how he's translated? He's being brought to the heavens, right? In the clouds. We know physical bodies can't rise in the clouds, but your soul most likely can. Okay, Enoch being translated, transfigured. That's another way of putting it, transfigured. Let me, instead of translated, let me put transfigured. So that's translated so they don't do the other one, okay? All right, so he was transfigured. The transfiguration of Enoch. In the book of Enoch, when Enoch returns to earth, he tells his children that although they see him as the earthly human Enoch, there is likewise an angelic Enoch. that has stood in the Lord's presence. Transfiguration in religion. So we're taking the spookism out of what the scriptures is telling you is going to happen. So everybody's talking about ascension. All them new age people, they're talking about ascension and all that, but they don't realize that without mastery of the Torah, without mastering the laws of this, the rules of this earth plane, okay, you're not going to advance to that next level. Your ass going to stay here, and you just going, well, I don't know if you're going to get a physical body. According to the Torah, that this is it. There's no more recycling and getting another physical. This is the last one, the last go round, right? Then everybody you either graduate this way or you get left back. Ain't nobody want to be spiritually remedial, right? We don't want to be spiritually remedial. Okay, so transfigurations. Apparently, Jacob was transfigurated, but I don't know if I believe that because Jacob clearly dies in Scripture. But maybe the transfiguration of Jacob is talking about when he comes across Jacob's ladder. Okay, transfiguration of Enoch. Enoch never saw death. Okay, so Enoch was transfigured. He was changed like how I'm about to show you Homer Simpson did. Elijah never died. He was also transfigured, much like Enoch. So he never saw death. Moshe died, so I don't know why they have that here. But I guess he was transfigured when he saw the Most High face to face. And if the Most High is electromagnetic, he's still magnetic light. So you can look that up, right? If the Most High is that, then imagine how Enoch must have looked if he was electrically charged because he was in the presence of the Creator, receiving all that light, all them photons. He was probably glowing like a fucking Super Saiyan. Where do you think all these people, these artists get their imagination and things from? They're drawing from our history, whether they realize it or not. They're drawing from ancient history, right? Keep going. We know we don't believe in that. So Enoch and Elijah. So let's go back to transfigured so we understand what we mean. Okay, let's go back. So Homer Simpson is about to be transfigured, right? See? He went from 2D to 3D. Just like Enoch went from 3D to 6th dimension. Now, I just explained that you should understand why I skipped from 3 to 6. Okay? Because within the 3rd dimension, you can still have the 4th and the 5th. Okay? And we'll explain why a little bit later on.
Oh, glorious. Heavenly testament to the eternal majesty of God's creation. Holy macaroni! There is no.
Now, you see how he felt like his mind was blown? This is why I mentioned the taking of shrooms with you guys the other day. Apart from being asked, I knew that I could lead into something like this. Now, remember when I told you it was hard to describe, like seeing gears within gears turning in each other in the sky? Okay, now imagine if you didn't leave this realm, which is what taking hallucinogenics does. It allows you to leave this realm or still be in this realm, but to see or perceive the realities of the realms beyond the electromagnetic spectrum. So this includes when you understand demons exist. This is why when your eye becomes open, right, your pineal gland becomes open, and therefore these two eyes can see more than the physical world, them demons will be aware that you can see them. You gotta be, that's why I tell y'all to relax on that taking. You don't want to open up your gateways and your portals before you even know what gateways and portals you gotta open or closed already. It doesn't make any sense to do that. This is why we tell you master the Torah, concentrate on, all of us, if I've been studying this Torah for 7 years and I still haven't mastered it yet, that should give you a good indication that you probably shouldn't be taking those type of drugs. If you do, that's on you. You understand? When demons, I'm not saying that's what's going to happen, but if it's the case, don't turn around and blame God for nothing. Take responsibility for what you decided to do, right? Okay, so you're going to see the same way Homer Simpson's mind is being blown because now he's seeing squares and spheres and triangles in three-dimensional form. Imagine us seeing reality, but with more dimensions to it, with more angles. Because that's what it is. When you're adding dimensions, you're adding angles. You're adding 90 degrees. You're adding light. So a lot of this stuff we explained before, and I'll get back into it, right?
Three-dimensional physical space outside the three-dimensional physical space of the atmosphere. So in reality, the biblical enclosed cosmology, the flat earth cosmology, has a physical earth with some kind of physical firmament, it would seem, with waters above. I mean, water's physical, but this does not mean that all these things that are within the firmament, the sun, moon, and stars, are purely physical aspects of creation in the same sense as rocks and trees.
This is movie All right, so we did breakdowns on my old page too when Interstellar first came out. When Interstellar first came out, they gave you an indication of being able to see between what it's like to perceive the fifth dimension. And perceiving the fifth dimension is like living outside of the frame of time by time, right? It's like experiencing past, present, and future at the same time, right? So this is why a lot of the things are confusing. Like, how is time travel possible? Time travel is possible. You just do not take this physical body, you don't take it with you. You understand? You have to remove. It gets crazy, but I'm going on a tangent. Let me not go that far, right?
Homer Simpson has stumbled into the third dimension. Here is an ordinary square. Whoa, slow down, egghead. What? Suppose we
Tesseract.
expand the square beyond the two dimensions of our...
All right, you see how he expanded the square by adding another one? That's essentially adding 90 degrees, okay? You see this right here, the 90 degree, this is called an orthogonal angle. So you can look that up. Orthogonal angle. All right, orthogonal angle. So you can look that up. Okay, so you have to add more light or more degrees in order to create more freedom, in order for you to have more experience.
universe along the hypothetical z-axis there. This forms a three-dimensional object known as a cube.
These are...
Or tesseract. Do you see what they just threw in there? He just gave you the tesseract. When you think of the tesseract, what do you think of? The cosmic cube from fucking Captain America. What's the joint from Transformers? Right? It's the same as the shit in Captain America, except I think it's called a tesseract. They call it the tesseract. In Transformers and in Captain America, it's called the cosmic cube. In real life, it's called the black cube or Saturn or the sun. This is a symbol for Saturn, the cube. The cube is also the symbol for the mind. Like, this thing gets deep. We could really go different ways with it, but I'm gonna just keep it simple for you. There you go, the Allspark.
This forms a three-dimensional object known as a